In Pit Lane is brought to you by NickStar Racing. Support Nick Shembry in his campaign to the 2019 British Supercar Grand Prix. Be a part of the future. And with thanks to the following show supporters.
Hello everybody and welcome to another edition of In Pit Lane. We are coming to you very, very live from the studios of RMA TV Student Television. Look, if you're not watching on the live feed on YouTube or Facebook, you'd have missed all the fun because we've had a fire here. Yes, we were evacuated, hence we're a little bit late for our live stream. But for those of you watching on Channel 31, it will mean nothing at all. In fact, I'm going to do a totally new hello for people on Channel 31 by saying, hello Channel 31, nothing has happened badly, everything is fine. Now, coming up this weekend down in Melbourne is the Australian Automotive Aftermarket Expo. We've covered this for a number of years on the program. If you've heard of things like SEMA and the PRI show, all of those things, this is sort of the closest thing that we have to that here in Australia, and it's a huge show that is coming up this weekend at the Melbourne Convention Exhibition Centre. Paul Marinelli from the Australian Automotive Aftermarket Association will be joining us to preview that a little bit later on the program. Also, we've got live music coming up by Ruby Whiting. She will be joining us a little bit later on as well. But of course, coming up this weekend, everybody's going down to Tassie, well, everybody apart from us, where hopefully there won't be fire alarms for the In Pit Lane Motorsport News.
The Australian Supercars Championship heads across Bass Strait for the third round of the series at Symmons Plains in Tasmania. Holden Young Guns Anton Di Pasquale and Todd Hazelwood will be looking to continue their recent run of encouraging form.
Yeah, Tasmania is obviously one of our shorter tracks. There's sort of one main sort of hairpin which sort of splits the track, very slow, very tight, very tight. You're sort of always looking for more steering lock, and that's one of the good spots to pass. And then obviously, if you don't get a good run out of there, you can also pass down at the next corner, which is the second last one. So they're the two main ones, and I think the two only ones, unless someone makes a mistake.
Hazelwood has had a strong start to the season and currently sits one place behind Di Pasquale in the championship in 16th place.
2018 was a really tough year for me, but also the team as well. So to bounce back strong at Adelaide, first round in, and to get a top 10 result straight away, you know, may have surprised a few people, but we really put the hard work in behind the scenes, and I was really hard on myself, both physically and mentally, to try and come back strong. So it was a great reward, and in this game you need confidence, and you build off those sort of results. So it's really showed to myself that I can do it and mix with those front guys, and I'd love to do more of it.
His team's recent partnership with AAA Racing, a key part of that success.
I think the partnership with AAA Race Engineering has showed for us, we've been able to really step up our capability in the first two rounds. Even though we didn't qualify well at Grand Prix, we had fantastic race pace and good tyre life. And I think that's really going to pay dividends at Tasmania. I think in the past it's shown that the 888 guys have been really fast there. So obviously going there this year with a car that we know is competitive, has good race pace. I think if I can qualify well, I think we should have a really good crack at being inside that top 10, hopefully.
The Tasmanian Super Sprint round starts this Friday at Symmons Plains before the teams move back to the mainland for the next round at Phillip Island on April 12th to the 14th. Lewis Hamilton returned to the winners list last Sunday in Bahrain, but it was new Ferrari signing Charles Leclerc who starred. Leclerc started from pole but made a slow start before finding his way back to the race lead. He looked set to take his debut win in Formula One when power unit problems dropped the young Monegasque driver back to third behind Mercedes Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas. The Ferrari driver only held on to third courtesy of a late race full course yellow thanks to yet another mechanical failure from the Renaults, taking out both Dan Ricciardo and Nico Hülkenberg. Denny Hamlin overcame not one but two pit lane penalties to take out his second NASCAR Cup victory of the season last Sunday in Texas. Hamlin led the final 12 laps to finish more than 2.7 seconds ahead of Cliff Bowyer. Daniel Suarez was third. The race had only 3 cautions outside of the 2-stage stoppages, but featured 27 lead changes amongst 13 different drivers. Marc Marquez dominated the Argentine MotoGP, leading all the way to beat Valentino Rossi, who was on the podium for the first time in 11 races, and round 1 winner Andrea Dovizioso. It was a great Grand Prix for Aussie rider Jack Miller, who had his best recent result with a 4th place on his Ducati. Thierry Neuville drove his Hyundai to a dramatic win to take out the Tour of Corsica, the latest round of the World Rally Championship, after early rally leader Elfyn Evans suffered a puncture on the final stage. Evans had led Neuville by 11.5 seconds heading into the final stage, but his Fiesta picked up a front right puncture and dropped to 3rd overall. Defending series champion Sébastien Ogier also moved past Evans for a surprise 2nd place for Citroën. Neuville's first win of the season now moves him into the championship lead, 2 points ahead of Ogier.
All senior appointments to New Australian Motor Racing Series with the appointment of a new manager to the LMP3 Cup Australia. They announced the appointment today of Tony Manson as their new category manager. Mr Manson comes with experience from events such as Top Gear Live, the Ken Block Gymkhana and Red Bull X-Fighters World Final. He's held management roles across a number of different motorsport organisations in Australia, the USA and the UK. Mr Manson will be responsible for the day-to-day management of the new category as it gears up for its planned start in 2020. The new series has received a major boost thanks to a decision to run a round of the Asian Le Mans series in Australia at the new Tailem Bend circuit in South Australia early next year, and we're looking forward to that. The strong showing of the new TA2 category continues with another healthy field of 25 cars for the second round of the series this weekend at Morgan Park Raceway in Queensland. The entry list features the debut of Super Ute racer Chris Formosa in a brand new Dodge Challenger. Prepared at Ross Stone's Racing Workshop, the team revealed the livery, which is a tribute to the General Lee, the 1969 Dodge Charger made famous in the Dukes of Hazzard television series. It'll be the second consecutive 25-car field for the class, following on from their recent season opener at Sydney Motorsport Park. Third-generation racer Aaron Seaton claimed 3 out of 4 race wins to hold a 4-point lead in the standings over George Madecki, with defending series champion Ashley Jarvis a further 13 points behind. And the Australian pair of Nick Foster and Tim Slade, along with Miguel Molina, have given Ferrari the win in Californian 8 hours at Laguna Seca, the second round of the Intercontinental GT Challenge. The Taiwanese-owned squad beat the Mercedes-AMG Team Group M Racing's Rafael Marciello, Maxi Book and Maxi Goertz by 12.5 seconds after 8 hours of racing. Romain Demar, Sven Muller and Matteo Jamniet had, in a Porsche, completed the podium. The result sees Mercedes-AMG now increase their lead in the Manufacturers' Championship to 19 points over Porsche, with Marciello, Book and Goertz now also on top in the driver's standing. The next round of the series will be the famous Spa 24-hour race on July 25th and 28th. And that's the In Pit Lane news for April, whatever it is, the first week of April 2019. We'll have more news next week. Right now, for our viewers on Channel 31, we're going to take a break, but when we come back, we're going to preview the Australian Automotive Aftermarket Expo with our guest, Paul Marinelli. So don't go away. We'll be right back. Okay, well, yeah, look, it's been, as I said, well, very hectic for those of you watching live. Come on in, Paul. It has been a very, very hectic start to the program. About sort of 20 minutes before we're supposed to be going to air, alarms went off everywhere. So I went, look, there's smoke coming out of event. Smoke coming out of event is never good. What is good, and this is a beautiful segue, is showing your support for young Australian international talent. Are you an international business or a local company looking to expand overseas? Well, if so, then have you considered the benefits of sponsorship of a young Australian motorsport talent in the world's biggest single event of its kind? Well, opportunities exist right now to have your name on board with Nick Shembry at the British Superkart Grand Prix. Talked about this in the past, the British Superkart Grand Prix. It's the Le Mans 24-hour, it's the Indy 500. I've supercars, this is the big event. And Nick will be over there representing Australia, and there are still some affordable package available if you're interested in getting behind him and having your kart, having your business promoted all around the world. So if you're interested at all, do us a favour, you can contact NickStar Racing via their Facebook page, and that's at www.facebook.com NickStar Racing, or you can contact us at In Pit Lane for details. And once again, all of us here at In Pit Lane and RMI TV would like to thank, as Matthew, our audio person, dives out of shot, we are tuning as we go, folks. We would like to thank NickStar Racing for their continued support of In Pit Lane. So, and by the way, remember, for our next series, hopefully when the studio won't catch on fire, we will be looking for sponsorship. Perhaps if you're a fire extinguisher company, that could be helpful. Yes, anybody out there like the Victorian Fire and Rescue Squad, where were you when we needed you guys? Come on. Okay, so we're going to throw back. To Channel 31 in just a moment. Paul Marinelli is with me, and Pete's going to give us a countback. Incidentally, if you've ever wondered, Pete is going to be hosting this program next week. It'll be his fault next week. Don't blame me. Blame Pete. Okay, Pete. Whenever they're ready. Oh, look at that. That's the hairs everywhere.
9, 8, 7, coming in on 3, 4, 3.
And in other news, fire attendants at the RMIT University last night found that it was someone vaping in the toilet that caused all of the problem. No, it wasn't. Welcome back to In Pit Lane. This is Channel 31. You're watching us right across Melbourne and Geelong. Now, coming up this weekend, in fact, starting today, if you're watching on Channel 31, was the Australian Automotive Aftermarket Expo. This is a huge trade show. It's the biggest of its kind in Australia, probably one of the biggest in the Southern Hemisphere. And if you've been to things, or if you've heard of things like SEMA, the PRI show in Indianapolis, or things similar, the Autosport show, this is probably the closest thing that we have to it here in Australia. If you work in the automotive industry, then this is certainly something you want to go and see. To find out all about what's happening over the next few days from the Australian Automotive Aftermarket Association, their media man, Mr. Paul Marinelli. Paul, welcome back to In Pit Lane.
Hi, Brett. It's good to be here. It's been a few years.
It has, and what a night you chose to come back.
Yeah, I turned up and there was people everywhere, and I thought, my goodness, this show's become popular. But
yes.
Obviously, it was evacuation.
yes, we were throwing them out, not dragging them in, unfortunately. But
yeah, fabulous studios, great setup. I mean, it's changed so much since '96.
It certainly has.
We certainly go back that far.
Let's talk about what's happening this weekend, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
Correct.
What's happening?
Okay, it's the Australian Auto Aftermarket Expo, and basically this is the showcase of the Australian automotive aftermarket industry. And to make it simple, it's everything that happens after you buy your car and after your warranty expires, and all the things that you put on your vehicle and your servicing and maintenance and all that. And that industry in Australia, it may surprise you to believe, is worth $11 billion a year just domestically. And they're exporting, Australian manufacturers, automotive component manufacturers, are exporting about $1 billion worth of parts every year overseas. So this is a bit of you're always hearing the doom and gloom since the car manufacturing business died, but the automotive manufacturing, as in components and aftermarket manufacturing business, is in fact thriving and booming at the moment. There'll be 430 companies at the Melbourne Convention and Exhibition Centre exhibiting. It's co-exhibiting with the Collision Repair Expo. That's about almost 100 exhibitors. The rest are all the automotive aftermarket exhibitors that'll be there. So
and the thing about having the collision repair guys on there as well, if you're into things like repairing and restoring vintage and veteran cars, or you're preparing cars for race or for show or that sort of thing, all of the people will be there with the Maguires. All those people will be there with their paints and their products, their polishers, everything there, and all the latest technology in that area.
Well, yeah, taking it to the other extreme, all the panel, the carbon fibre, the components that are now used in car manufacturing and restoring are totally different different to what they used to be. And with that comes new technologies, and that's really what the Expo is all about. For repairers, whether you're large, small, or wanting to get involved, or anyone involved in the business, to learn more about the latest technologies that'll help them run their businesses more efficiently and more profitably as well. It's both a training exercise as well as seeing all the latest stuff, the tools, the components, everything that you need. And
it really is kid in the lolly shop. If you love your tools and you love your automotive equipment, you are just going to overdose on this.
Oh, it's amazing. And there's 10 free seminars running throughout the whole thing. Everything's free of charge, by the way. As long as you're involved in the automotive industry, you just register, get a badge when you turn up at the convention centre, in you go. And the seminars are incredible. There's some great stuff. And I don't know if you're aware, but there's a mandatory code on the way for automotive companies to actually ensure that their data and information is shared with independent repairers.
And that's been as the fight as long as we've been covering this.
It's been at least 15 years, this fight. You know, the AAA has done an incredible job in fighting this battle. It's almost up to draft stage of that mandatory code, and you'll find out the latest about that at the Australian Automotive Aftermarket Expo.
The other thing is, I mean, for just, in terms of pure car porn, I mean, there is actually like plenty of, really cool cars there. In fact, we saw today the new S5000, the Formula 5000 revival category, if you want to call it that. Gary Rogers, they're going to present one of the cars done up in sort of Valvoline tribute livery, like Bobby Unser's Indy car. I think there's Rochelle Splatt's Top Fueler is there. I think there's a whole bunch of like really cool cars there as well.
There's always a massive a fight from companies and owners of cars wanting to exhibit at that event, because it's only held every 2 years. More than 10,000 people, I think 12,000 people turned up last year. Everybody wants to showcase their vehicles there, and that particular car you mentioned, the S5000. It's amazing when you think of Valvoline and Gary Rogers Motorsport. That has to be one of the longest sponsorships I can remember in Australian motorsport by far. So it's really good that they're celebrating that using a modern open-wheeler style to the old Unser Indy car. So you'll see all sorts of things at this show, believe me. It's mind-blowing. 21,000 square metres. It's the biggest show held at the Melbourne Convention and Exhibition
I was going to say,
Centre.
it really does take up the whole space, doesn't it?
It is the biggest. We can't fit anymore. If more exhibitors want to come, we couldn't fit them. And that gives you an idea of how healthy the aftermarket industry is. So when you read the papers and they say, oh, automotive doom and gloom, no, it's the opposite.
And it's not just Australian companies. I mean, even though it is specifically targeted for Australian companies, you do have like a lot of trade delegations come in. I've seen people we've covered people in the past from the United States, from Thailand, from China, who come in, and some of the stuff is interesting. Very interesting, to say the least. But it is fascinating to see that people are coming from all over the world for this.
A lot of them are buyers. They're buyers from all over the world wanting to buy from Australian manufacturers because of the quality and because of the proximity and location as well. And so the export business is certainly firing up well, and that's a big part of the AAA, the AAA
I actually
Expo.
know of people who have made some really big sales as a result of that. People like Harrop and those sort of people, where people from overseas have said, we can't do this for that price, we can't do it as well, we'll just get you to do it.
And the smart thing that the Australian aftermarket industry has done is, instead of going for how cheap can we manufacture the product, they've gone higher on the value chain. So they produce the high-end motorsport components, the high-end prestige vehicle components, the high-end stuff that people all around the world need, and companies all around the world need, because everybody likes to customise their cars and stuff, as we know. And they've gone up the value chain, and in doing that, they've created this fantastic business niche for themselves where they don't have to worry about what the cost is, as long as the quality is world class. And believe me, the stuff that's getting made in Australia at the moment is mind-blowing, and you'll see it all at the Expo.
And that's the other thing too, in terms of like people modifying their cars. The AA have been very sort of, have been very keen to sort of, lobby on governments, especially things like modifying four-wheel drive machines. I mean, there were laws which basically would have stopped all modifications, and AA have really sort of hit hard.
That was an interesting fight that we won, and it's a really, I'll try and take a long story and make it really short. But it was the same week as Automechanica in Germany. So we were all heading over there when all this broke out, when the Queensland government said, if you modify your four-wheel drive, you're not allowed on the road anymore. So you could drive anywhere else in Australia. Once you got to Queensland, you basically were breaking the law. It was ridiculous. Anyway, so we put together this thing, and I remember on the plane writing up the press release draft, getting to Frankfurt for the show. Stuart Charity, the CEO of the AA, checked it. Yeah, good, send it, bang. 28,000 people via Facebook sent things to the minister. let's say, some colourful comments about what they thought. Within a couple of hours, there was an email saying, whoa, okay, when you get back, we'll talk about it. And of course, the whole thing was put to bed. But the AAA's advocacy work has been incredible. Some of the fights they've taken on, particularly the latest one with all the car manufacturers with the mandatory code thing, I think they were thinking for a long time that they were going to keep screwing over consumers for as long as they wanted to. That's all coming to an end, and it'll be very soon.
And that's going to be a benefit to all of us who have cars. Look, stay with us for the moment. We're going to take a break on Channel 31 in a moment, but when we come back, we'll hear a bit more from Paul Marinelli. We'll also have music from Ruby Whiting. So don't go away. This is In Pit Lane. We'll be right back. I've got no audio.
Yeah, it looks like it.
So the battery's dead?
Yeah, it's flashing red.
Yep. Okay.
I need to take that.
Well, just
Hello? The songs, maybe if I know you better. Hello? Hello? To be loved, and I meet him, but nothing satisfies me. Maybe if I'd known you better, I'd know that you'd leave me anyway. Maybe if I held my shit together when things didn't go my way, or you wouldn't think how I was so helpless and embarrassed and a bit unstable. But maybe it doesn't matter. It's not like you are going to stay. I was wondering how I could have changed. I was fumbling, not knowing how I should behave. Don't leave blaming myself for why things end smoked, a little drank, a little thought, a little lesson. Someone a little more like you'd expect from a girl who looks like me. Maybe if I use my head before I try to speak. Maybe if I had acted a little less like me. What's the fucking point of that if you knew that you just leave? Or you knew that you just leave? Only blaming myself for why things ended this way. Thinking I wasn't enough to make you want to stay. Maybe if I'd known you better, I'd know that you'd leave. I know that you just leave me anyway.
Ruby Whiting, and maybe if I'd known better. Ruby will be joining us a little bit later on to play us out for our Channel 31 viewers. Ruby, thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
It was lovely, and I believe that you can hear me now. I hope you can hear me now, but yes, having a fire in the studio is probably not the best way to prepare for a live television show. But look, we plough through anyway. We plough through regardless. Pete, if we can find out how long have we got on the second segment, and how long have I got to talk to Mr. Marinelli? Pete is now consulting with the people who know, the people who make the decisions.
How long has he got in segment 3?
Mm-hmm.
Over. So how long has he got? So with segment 3.
Yep. Segment 3, we're coming back with the with what's on.
Yeah.
Yep, and then back to me. And how long have I got to talk to Paul?
How long has he got to talk to Paul in this segment?
And introduce Ruby and
And introduce Ruby. 2 minutes.
2 minutes. Okay, so we'll wrap that up really quickly. Okay, so let's do this now. Let's go into segment 3 for Channel 31 viewers.
We're going into segment 3, Heidi. If you can count me in, please.
Okay.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3,
What's on in Motorsport brought to you by the Motoring Diary, your must-have guide for all motoring enthusiasts. Coming up this weekend, Friday sees the Victorian time attack at Phillip Island. It's best to get there early if you want to see all the fastest cars. These guys don't hang around in more ways than one. Calder Park plays host to the second round of the Victorian Drift Series this Saturday night. And there's a huge treat for rally fans this Sunday with the Rally Retro Day at the Geelong Motorsport Complex at Avalon. Almost 50 of the nation's most famous rally cars will be there, taking to the 1 kilometre rally track. Gates open at 10 p.m. and the cars take to the dirt from 11. Entries $10 per car, and the first 200 cars receive a Rally Retro show bag.
I have no idea what you get in a Rally Retro show bag, but I think it's probably worth getting. Paul, just quickly, wrapping up, what can people see? Where do they go? And who can come? I mean,
Anybody involved even remotely in the automotive industry. You could be an apprentice mechanic, you can be an office staff
so
worker.
our students, our Formula SAE people, perfect for them.
Formula SAE, apprentices, anybody who has any sort of interest in the automotive trade, or works in the automotive trade, or works in a related business to the automotive trade, is more than welcome to attend. Everything's free, 10 seminars, 430 companies. get there and see what this industry is all about, and have a look at career opportunities as well for young people. That's a very, very good point. But it's an excellent show. Everyone who you need to know in the business is there, and it's certainly going to be great to welcome everyone over.
And In Pit Lane will be there. We'll be having stories from the show on next week's program, and of course on the In Pit Lane YouTube channel. So stay tuned for that. Paul, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
Again,
Thank
hopefully it won't take 23 years next time.
I look forward to it. Thank you.
Now, for all of you at home, thanks for watching us. As I said, next week on the program, but Pete Johnson, our illustrious floor manager, will be behind this No, he actually won't be behind the desk. He's going to bring in a whole new set. We're really putting on side for him. So that's next week on the program. Pete will be filling in for me next week. Now, tonight's artist is Ruby Whiting. Ruby plays right around Melbourne. She's got music on SoundCloud and also on her Facebook page. And she's going to play us out tonight. And I'm sure you're going to want to find out more about where she's playing. So go to her Facebook page and also check out her SoundCloud account as well. Lots of great songs on that. But tonight she's going to take us out with a song that, if we hadn't got the fire brigade sort of spraying, it would have been for Swim My Way. Until we see you next week, here's Ruby Whiting and Swim My Way. Good night.
We've seen better days and these. This cold's not a place I should miss. Cling to anything, if anything is said. For too long this shell has been bare. Come on over, girl, swim my way. I'll try harder till you feel safe. Please stop wishing your time away. I'd like to see you again someday. Then it came along. Ooh, Then it came along. Then it came along. Then it came along. Hello, sorry if I appear drowsy. I've awoken from a deep sleep. I stay